In October 2020, a woman set out for a solo hike in Idaho's rugged Sawtooth National Forest, and she never came back. Her car was found parked neatly at the Prairie Creek Trailhead, her backpack missing, and no sign of a struggle. Searchers have routinely been looking for her the past 4 years, and not a clue has been found as to what happened to her. Welcome to Morbid Outdoors, the podcast that ventures deep into the shadows of the wild. Here, we unravel the mysteries of missing persons, explore spine-chilling legends, and share the most morbid stories that nature has to offer. From the depths of the dense forest to the highest mountain peaks, we'll uncover the secrets that lie hidden in the great outdoors. Join us as we navigate the eerie, the unexplained, and the terrifying. So if you dare, grab your gear and let's embark on a journey into the unknown. This is Morbid Outdoors. Hello, everyone. My name is Elise, and I'm your host. Thank you so much for listening today. So today's case takes place in the Sawtooth National Forest in Idaho. I actually visited this roundabout area, this national forest, this past summer, and it is amazing, but it is extremely rugged and remote. The sawtooths are so pretty, and honestly, they're kind of haunting. My favorite trail in this area is the Fish Hook Creek Trail. Now, I haven't done a lot of extensive hiking, but this one was pretty easy with amazing views at the end. So let's talk about the Sawtooth National Forest. The area that is now Sawtooth National Forest was first occupied by people as early as 8000 BC and by the Shoshone tribe after 1700 AD. The first European descendants migrating from the eastern United States arrived in this area around 1820 in the 1820s, and they were mainly explorers, trappers, and prospectors, and they founded many of the current towns around what later became the forest. Sawtooth National Forest is over 2.1 million acres. 96% of this national forest is within Idaho, while 4% is within Utah. Sawtooth National Forest is named for the Sawtooth Mountains, and they look exactly like teeth on a saw, and that's obviously why they got their names. Now, this mountain range actually has Hindman Peak, which is the 9th highest point in Idaho at 12,009 feet. There are over 1,100 lakes and over 3,500 miles of rivers and streams. Sawtooth National Forest offers facilities for recreation with 4 ski areas, whitewater and flatwater boating, hunting, 81 campgrounds, and over 1,000 miles of trails and roads for hiking, mountain biking, and all-terrain vehicle use. So very, very huge national forest with a lot of opportunities for outdoor recreation. My husband and I stayed in Stanley, Idaho, and it's just within the Sawtooths, and it was amazing. The hiking is amazing. The water sports are amazing. I highly recommend if you're ever in Idaho, you've got to see the Sawtooths. Actually, this national park is so amazing that in 1936, there was a senator from Idaho who he introduced the first legislation to establish a national park in the Sawtooths. So he was trying to get a national park in this mountain range, but unfortunately, a lot of people did not like that, and the bill died, and it was not turned into a national park, obviously. There are guard stations and work camps that dot the forest. The Sawtooth National Rec Area headquarters and main visitor center are located north of the city of Ketchum, while there is a ranger station in Stanley and a visitor center at Redfish Lake. There are more than 25,000 acres of private land and holdings within the forest, and it is bordered by the Boise and Salmon Chalice National Forest, as well as private, state, and BLM land. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the Sawtooth Wilderness has some of the cleanest air in the lower 48 states. About 47% of the forest land is forested, and an additional 3% can support trees, but does not currently have any. Lower elevations in the Sawtooth National Forest often have sagebrush, and grassland vegetation types, while forested areas contain a variety of tree species. This national forest is home to over 243 bird species, 78 mammals, 28 reptiles and amphibians, and 29 fish. One thing that I wanted to mention was the reintroduction of wolves. Wolves were controversially reintroduced to this area in the mid 1990s. Now, the reason they did this was to restore the ecosystem stability that they provide as top predators. This included managing high elk populations, which had inhibited new vegetation growth. Along with cougars, timber wolves are the largest top predators that live in this forest, who have no predators of their own except humans. Most of the area's native mammal species are present in the forest, with the exception of grizzly bears, which have actually become extinct in this area. Now, the sawtooths contain 1/3 of Idaho's mountain goat population, and they are commonly seen at high elevations in the Boulder, White Cloud, Pioneer, and Sawtooth Mountains. Other mammals in the forest includes coyotes, moose, bobcat, beaver, yellow-bellied marmot, pika, and badger. The Sawtooth National Forest receives over 1 million visitors a year, and I can definitely believe that. There are abundant trails throughout the forest with over 700 miles in the Sawtooth National Rec Area, 440 miles in the Fairfield District, and 341 miles in the Minidoka District. With that background, let's dive into today's case. Today's case is on a woman from Park City, Utah, who went missing while hiking in the Sawtooths in Idaho in 2020. Now, other podcasts have covered this case. I am absolutely puzzled as to what happened to her. Her name was Fern Baird, and she was actually the running owner and principal broker of Powder Beach Realty, doing residential sales and vacation rentals at Utah's mountain resorts and in the Salt Lake Valley. Along with this realty venture, she also founded the company Yopa Bag. So she actually designed bags for carrying yoga equipment to class. She was very well liked and had a lot of friends who would gather together to go on hikes. Now, Fern was an experienced hiker, but she was not known to do technical hikes or mountaineering. She was not a risk taker, but she kind of was like a casual hiker, and she was not the type to bushwhack or take shortcuts. She was known to always stay on the marked trails. And on October 19th, 2020, she set off to hike a trail not too far away from where she was staying in Ketchum. The Prairie Creek Trailhead is reached by driving north of Ketchum on Highway 75 for 15 and a half miles and then west on Baker Creek Road, number 162. I'm unsure exactly what hike because it doesn't really say. And there are two trails that kind of spur off of this one. Now, Fern signed the trail logbook at 1:17 p.m., writing, "To the lake and back." The trail is a 10-mile loop along the west side of Highway 75 within the Sawtooth National Forest. Prairie Lakes and Minor Lakes trails are accessible from this trailhead. The Prairie Lakes Trail is 5 miles or 8 kilometers one way. The trail to Prairie Lakes winds through meadows and mixed conifer forest alongside Prairie Creek. It's a steady but not difficult climb to a grassy basin where the lake is. Now, Prairie Creek Peak is located within the Smoky Mountains of central Idaho and is just one of the handful of peaks in the Smokies standing above a 10,000-foot level. I'm mentioning this because there are lakes there that people hike to. The most attractive feature is its north face, which rises 1,000 feet while forming a perfect pyramid above Prairie Lakes. Its less impressive east slopes from the backdrop to Big Lost Lake, while its jagged south extending ridgeline presents a bold face to the area near Smoky Lake. So, like I said, we're not really sure exactly which lake she was going to because there are quite a few that you could get to from this trailhead. Now, because this one, Prairie Creek Peak, is very rugged, not a lot of people hike up there because it's very hard. And it's not uncommon for hikers in the area to report speaking with people who have become confused while hiking. The reason I bring this up is because that is a theory that Fern might have inadvertently taken the wrong trail, and if she had gotten lost or gotten too cold, she could have been dealing with disorientation and hypothermia. Now, this is in October, and actually today, and it's Saturday, for me at least, we already had our first snowfall in the mountains. Like, I can see snow on the mountaintops from my house. And Ketchum also has a high elevation. And so in mid October, yes, it very well could have been snowing in this area. Now, I did look up this trail on All Trails. Some of you love All Trails, some of you hate All Trails. It doesn't matter, but what people say on All Trails, they kind of warn others of the danger of this trail. Now, this is supposed to be 4.6 miles with only 360 feet of elevation gain, so a relatively flat hike. It's estimated to take 1.5 hours to complete. That doesn't really seem like a trail that you could get lost easily on and then never be found. I've done many trails that are similar to this, and they are pretty cut and dry, especially because they are easier, so more people do them. Blaine County search and rescue team members and the sheriff's office, they began a search for Fern on Thursday afternoon of October 22nd, 2020, after they were notified that she was missing. The hotel that Fern was staying at, they actually called the sheriff's office to report their concerns because she did not return to check out, and she had actually asked the front desk worker about good hiking locations. So here we have Fern. They know she's not from the area. She's staying in a hotel. She asked the front desk worker about popular hiking spots. They tell her, and then she doesn't come back. So the hotel is actually who reported her missing. And honestly, that's something we don't really see or hear a lot in cases like these. But I think it's great that these workers had the wherewithal to be like, hey, that lady never checked out. We need to call police. So props to them. Blaine County Sheriff's Lieutenant Mike Abaid said that on October 19th, 2020, a family of 5 from Tulsa, Oklahoma, signed the logbook around the same time as Fern and hiked either the West Fork drainage of Prairie Creek or Prairie Lake. The logbook entry was barely legible, but it was believed that their last name was Adkins. Fortunately, the office could track the family down, but honestly, they said they didn't see her and they didn't have any useful information to provide. The sheriff's office interviewed another couple from Boise who was also on the trail that day, and they had their logbook to prove it, but that pair had not seen Fern either. Fern's 2018 Subaru Crosstrek was found in the Prairie Creek parking area. From this trailhead, like I said, there are multiple hike options that Fern could have taken in the Prairie Peak area north of Ketchum, Idaho. So they don't really know which trails she did because all her logbook entry said was to the lake and back. That sounds pretty easy, but obviously something very wrong happened on Fern's hike. The sheriff's office, along with the Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, they actually led the search. They used several National Guard helicopters, 2 drones, 3 canine units, and numerous searchers on foot, motorcycles, and horseback. Obviously, this is not the first time someone has gone missing in this area because Idaho is rugged and a lot of people get turned around or lost on a trail and they need search and rescue. Now, this search had focused on the Prairie Lakes, Minor Lakes, Norton Lakes, and Mill Lake, all from elevations of about 7,100 feet to 9,200 feet. Early winter conditions challenged the high elevation search with below freezing nighttime temperatures and covering the ground with a fresh blanket of mountain snow. So just because it was October doesn't mean that in high elevations, the ground is totally free of snow. And I think the searchers were really concerned because Fern's been missing and it's snowing. And if she was not prepared for cold weather, she could very much be experiencing hypothermia. In fact, on some of the days that the search was being conducted, it got down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit at night, and that is so freaking cold. One last major search was made on Friday, October 30th, 2020, when Blaine County Sheriff and Search and Rescue airlifted 7 canine teams to the search area, and they had their team of ground searchers. There were no results, and so the search for Fern was officially called off. They searched for 10 days for Fern, and they never found any clues as to where she was or what happened to her. Her family stated that although she enjoyed hiking, she usually didn't try to climb mountains, take shortcuts, or leave the trail. There has been no bank account, credit card, or cell phone activity on any of her accounts since that day, October 19th, 2020. Will Fruehling, a chief deputy at the Blaine County Sheriff's Office, said that it's possible that Fern ventured off the main trail and became disoriented. As far as any working theory goes, I'm afraid we still have numerous possibilities of what happened to her. I still think that anything is possible at this point, but I do believe it is most likely that something happened to her in the Prairie Creek area. The most likely theory is that she became lost, perhaps left the trail, and had to spend the night. There's nothing that points to foul play, but there's nothing that points to anything concrete either. The following summer, in June 2021, the Blaine County Sheriff Search and Rescue searched the Prairie Lakes Trail as a part of a training operation. Now, this actually happens more often than you'd think. Search and rescue often does trainings in areas where people are still currently missing. The team deliberately chose the waterfall's location about 2 miles up the trail to help search for evidence related to Fern's disappearance. Search members found a cell phone left in the area over winter, and detectives determined that it belonged to a local man who said he'd lost it hunting last fall. It's unknown if the hunter was in the area the week that Fern went missing. Now, in 2024, the Fowler O'Sullivan Foundation led a comprehensive search for Fern with the goal of checking new areas of interest and adding more tracks to the main search map. If you know anything about missing persons, you'll know about this nonprofit organization. This California-based nonprofit began in 2020 following the disappearance of Chris Fowler and David O'Sullivan, who were hiking on the PCT, and honestly, their stories are bizarre. I don't know, both of their disappearances are so crazy. They're actually still missing today, so if you want to hear or read about their disappearances, you should look them up. The foundation has played a role in discovering the remains of 5 missing hikers, while their website lists continuing efforts on 6 missing persons, including Fern. The foundation also offers peer support groups for family members of missing hikers. So they actually led a new search for Fern on August 12th through the 16th of 2024. They had about 22 volunteers show up, and they always have their radios on them so that they can stay in contact with each other. They also wear orange vests so that everyone can see each other, and safety is a huge thing for this nonprofit.
Three men, 3 murders, 1 killer, who simply vanished. 30 years later, crime-adjacent host Chase Patrick returns to Ridgewood to uncover how the nation's most prolific serial killer went undiscovered and why he started killing again in 2023. Crime Adjacent is the never-ending true crime story told weekly. Listen to Crime Adjacent wherever you listen to podcasts.
This foundation also uses CalTopo, and CalTopo is a set of digital maps where users can add and store location-based data. So they're not just going out there calling out names. This is a highly planned and thought out search for these missing hikers. You can track people with CalTopo, and you have a QR code. So volunteers put it in their phone, and then they use the QR code, which puts them onto the master map. So when they're out there searching at the end of the day, they save their tracks, and that goes right onto the search map. Park City resident Bill Silliman drove 6 hours north to help in the search for his friend through the Park City Mountain Sports Club. Bill said that Fern was an avid hiker who often hiked with fellow club members. Now, Bill said that he'd never been up in this area before, and he said he knew it was going to be pretty wild out there and that it was exactly what he thought it was going to be. Bill mentioned that this was the sort of place you'd want to have someone with you and a Garmin SOS to carry with you. There's a ton of brush and undergrowth, and Bill said he knows it would be so easy to get off the trail and to get lost in this area. In an interview, Bill described the search and he says that the first 2 days they did searching in grid patterns. They had 4 different areas that were supposed to be searched, and so everyone spread out like north, south, east, and west. He said that everyone was 10 to 20 feet apart, depending on what terrain was like in that area, and a lot of locals came out to help. There was a woman who had searched earlier who flew in from North Carolina. Bill was the only searcher who actually had known Fern personally. I think this says a lot about the community and locals in this area because Bill was the only person searching that had known Fern. Everybody else was there on their own accord to help Fern come home. So Bill says that the third day, everyone did a hike. He said that a lot of times he was crossing creeks on logs and on stepping stones. One area up to Minor Lake, he said it was 6+ miles just to get to the lake. And he said that it was really steep at the very end. It was not terrain that you want to be lost in at all. So, hotel footage showed that Fern was wearing a gray jacket, black pants, gray gloves, and a fanny pack as she headed out. These clothes were appropriate for daytime temperatures, but obviously they would be insufficient for the cold nights that arrived swiftly with the 6:46 p.m. sunset. The dark colors of her clothing also would have made her harder to spot by searchers. This is a safety tip for you. It's always better to wear clothing that is not found in nature, like brightly colored clothing, just in case you get lost. It is way easier for searchers to spot. So, I mean, stay away from browns and blacks and grays and brown and greens, and do like bright red, bright yellow, bright pink. Someone from the search said that day hikers are the most unprepared hikers out there. What happens is that they get hurt or lost and they have no shelter. They didn't bring any food because they just brought a snack. That's a very scary place out there when you're by yourself and you're in that situation. And yes, this person is right. Day hikers are the most underprepared hikers. Typically, if I'm doing a hike, I'm bringing food, I'm bringing a lot of things, even just for a day hike, because you never know what's going to happen outside. Here's my plug for bringing the 10 essentials when you recreate outside. The 10 essentials include navigation tools, sun protection, insulation, illumination, first aid supplies, a fire starter, repair kit, nutrition, hydration, and a shelter. Always take all 10 of those anytime you're recreating outside because seriously, you don't know what will happen. And honestly, that's all that I could find about Fern Baird's disappearance in Idaho. It's been 5 years now, and no one's found Fern. No one knows where she is, and there are no clues bringing us any closer to knowing what happened on October 19th, 2020. This is one of those cases where it just seems like someone vanished into thin air while hiking. Obviously, that's not what happened, but my question is, which trail was she going to? Which lake? Because if they could figure out which lake it was, they might have a better chance of finding Fern. And the area has so many trees and dense brush that it makes it hard for drones and helicopters to do searches because there's so much underbrush and foliage. I really hope that Fern is found and brought home to family. It is devastating when this happens, and stories like these, it just makes people even more paranoid to recreate outside. A lot of people have very differing opinions on solo hiking. I solo hike a lot, but I also am very prepared. And when you go into the woods and you're not prepared, it can be fatal. Fern was 63 years old when she went missing. She was 5'5" and about 115 pounds. She was last seen wearing a light gray jacket, dark-colored pants, gray gloves, a dark-colored mask, and a dark-colored fanny pack. A photo of Fern in the clothes is posted in the case summary online. Her 2018 Subaru Crosstrek with a Utah vanity license plate reading Yopa Bag was accounted for at the Prairie Creek Trailhead. She's a Caucasian female with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with any information about Fern's disappearance is encouraged to contact the Blaine County Sheriff's Office at 208-788-5555. Fern Baird stepped into the Sawtooth National Forest and simply disappeared. No trail of footprints, no scattered belongings, not even the telltale signs of an accident. It's as if the forest itself closed in behind her, swallowing every clue. Out here, the wind can carry whispers you're not meant to hear, and the shadows hold more than just the trees. Whether it was the work of nature, a stranger, or something far stranger still, Fern's story has become a part of the Sawtooth secrets, and some secrets were never meant to be found. As always, recreate responsibly, and remember, sometimes the great outdoors aren't always great. Thanks for listening to Morbid Outdoors. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. It's free, easy, and it helps us out immensely. When you subscribe, you get updates on our latest episodes, and it also boosts our visibility, making it easier for other curious souls to find us. Another great way to support Morbid Outdoors is by leaving us a review. Whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, a quick review helps us know what you love about the show. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Morbid Outdoors Podcast. You can email us case suggestions and your campfire stories at morbidoutdoorspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for the support, and I'll see you next time. Let's talk about the 10 essentials everyone needs to carry while they're outdoors. The 10 essentials are only the basic items you should have with you. You may need additional items depending on the activity in which you participate. Visit the park's website to learn more about the park and your activity before you head out. So, our 10 essentials. The first is navigation. Navigation systems are used when planning your route before your trip and when you need help orienting yourself in surroundings during your activity. Know how to use a topographical or relief map as well as your compass or GPS unit before going out. So when I say navigation, I mean you need a map, compass, and GPS system. Personally, I have a Garmin inReach Mini, and it is the best purchase I have ever made, as it can save my life. The second essential is sun protection: sunglasses, sunscreen, and hat. Sun protection is necessary to protect your skin and eyes against harsh UV rays that are responsible for sunburns and skin cancer. Consider using sunglasses, sunscreen, and hats. Sun protection clothing, such as pants and long-sleeve shirts, can also help minimize your exposure to the sun. The third essential is insulation: jacket, hat, gloves, rain shell, and thermal underwear. Nature is unpredictable. Be prepared for sudden changes in weather conditions. Pack an extra layer of clothing that reflects the most extreme conditions you could encounter. The fourth essential is illumination. Lighting is indispensable in the outdoors where there is no conventional light. Items include flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps. Headlamps are preferred light source because they are hands-free. Be sure to pack extra batteries. The fourth is first aid supplies. Be prepared for emergencies by packing first aid supplies with you. Start with a pre-made kit and modify it to fit your trip and your medical needs. Check the expiration date on all items and replace them as needed. Consider including an emergency guide in case you are faced with an unfamiliar medical emergency. The fifth essential is fire. Fire can be an emergency signal and a heat source for cooking and staying warm. Pack matches, preferably waterproof, and fire starters. Those are items that can catch fire quickly and sustain flame, like a lighter. Familiarize yourself with the fire use regulations of your park before heading out. The next essential is repair kit and tools. This is something that I use less, but it's always a good idea to have. Carry a basic repair kit with you to help repair equipment. The kit should include items such as duct tape, knife, and scissors. Consider packing a multi-tool, a compact version of many tools that include a knife, screwdriver, can opener, etc. Be sure to bring any tools specific to your trip and your activity. The next essential is nutrition. You should always be prepared for the possibility of changes to your trip plans. Pack an extra day's food supply, preferably no-cook items that have good nutritional value, in order to keep your energy high. Salty and easy-to-digest snacks such as trail mix, nuts, and granola bars work well for outdoor activities. The next essential is hydration. Staying hydrated on your trip is of the utmost importance. Physical activity increases your risk of dehydration, which can lead to negative health consequences. If you're active outdoors, especially in hot weather, you should drink water often and before you feel thirsty. Prepare your water before you need it and do not allow yourself to become dehydrated. Before heading out on your trip, be sure to identify if there are any bodies of water at your destination that you could collect water from and treat using your water treatment supplies. The next essential is emergency shelter. Shelter is one of the most important elements during an emergency survival situation. It can protect you from severe weather conditions and exposure to the elements. A tent, tarp, bivy sack, or emergency space blanket are all lightweight options for your emergency shelter. Just remember that the 10 essentials are the minimum that you need to bring with you while you're recreating outdoors. Your safety is your responsibility while outdoors.